Okay, so we are live. I'm going to try and find this wherever it is. I know it's on Rumble, so let's go have a look at that.
I could do that.
Sorry, guys, bear with us for just a second. Obviously, using Rumble as our platform for the first time today. Usually, we just upload there. So I'm just going to find the link. Oh, look at that! Yeah, I'm going to find the link. Here it is. Going to find the link that we can. Copy that. Go play that. Hey, cool. So I'm just going to go and share this on Facebook, guys.
If you share that, then I'll share that.
Okay. I can't tell if it. Oh, hold on, come back to here. Yeah, okay. I've shared it, so you want to share it, Neil? Could be an interesting day. I don't even know if we're going to get figures on here. Are you sharing it? I can hear you talking, but your lips weren't moving. Hold on, what's going on here?
Right. Oh, well, I like that picture, Andrew.
Which one?
The one you created on Facebook with that snazzy, it's like a sort of gyro sort of scopish look. Like, I would call that like some sort of hypnotic picture. But like the world we live in today is everything's been pretty hypnotic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like we've been live now for about a minute, I guess, or just over 2 minutes by the looks of that. So we might as well get underway. People join us, great. If they don't, well, they'll miss out on us being idiots together. But they can come back and watch it later. So, guys, if you are just joining us, welcome to Under the Rug. This is our first episode for 2023. It is, in fact, episode 9. Neil's here with me. I hope everybody had a fantastic New Year's and holiday period, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, I don't care. I hope you had a good time and it was filled with love and enjoyment. We are here on Rumble for the first time today, so there may or may not be interaction with the crowd because they may not know where to go or how to get here yet. That was our bad on not advertising it well enough. I tried to be organised, but here I am. Here we are. So Neil, how you doing, brother?
Oh, look, I'm awesome. You know, here we are at the beginning of 2023, and you know, I guess as the story goes and as the information flows, we got to sit here and be excited about what 2023 is going to bring, is going to unfold, and it's going to eventuate that has an effect on all of us at one level or another. I guess we'll try and talk about that and expose that. Not expose that. I guess if we're talking about it, it's already exposed. You know. I did read somewhere over Christmas, so that they were running out of enough of these conspiracy theories. They're all the ones that so far have come true.
That's what's that other one? What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months.
Yeah. I know, it's just kind of crazy as to what that is. Apparently, and everything's speeding up. You know, would you get to my age? I'm now nearly 45, and women, you know, but a day seems to go quicker, quicker. All right, 59. Okay, I can't. Hey, I'll tell you what. You know, and
It's
talking
coming up
about
soon.
ages. Yeah, like March is. I've read it's going to be a pretty explosive month, and you know, starts with our year around the Sundays too, doesn't it? At the very beginning of March.
It does. Yours what, the second or first or something? I can't remember. What are you?
Yeah, mine's the second. Yours
That's
is
right.
the eighth.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Hey, so
yeah.
I know we've got at least
We've
one person
celebrated.
here.
We've had.
Sorry, celebrate it with me.
Well, we've celebrated our birthdays together on numerous occasions, even though we don't live in the same.
We have. In fact, I remember that first year. We had we have yours in Auckland, someone
Yeah,
unmentionable somewhere else, and mine in Perth. Anyway, we won't go there. So I know we've got at least one person. Well, we had at least one person watching it on Rumble. So Peter Sparky, g'day, how you going? Thanks for coming. Unfortunately, now that we are using this streaming service, the way we're doing this, we can't get the comments and reactions up on the video. So maybe we need to rethink that. Maybe we potentially rethink our content slightly and just broadcast on YouTube. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, everything's a learning curve, and I guess as we take that first step forward, we learn whether we need to pivot, or we'll pivot.
Pivot.
But the key is not to stop. It's to take the next step.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of there's that scene in Friends where they're moving the couch and they're trying to get it up around up around the stairs, and Ross just keeps going, pivot, pivot, pivot. Sorry.
I've heard a few stories with blooming couches being moved upstairs over the last few years, but I guess the favourite one of mine is always the PG Tips ads.
Can you play the pianos on? Do you know the pianos on my foot? Yeah, my son.
I'll play it. Yeah.
Don't have ads like that anymore.
No, I mean no. The fun's gone out of everything, hasn't it? Well, appears to have. I guess it's
only if you let it. Only if you let it.
Yeah.
Only if you let it.
Yeah.
So, what's been going on? I mean, let's face it. You've said that. In fact, I just come off a phone call with a friend of mine, associate in New Zealand, and we had a bit of a chat about what's coming up, what's going on. I fully expected, and this is some stuff we could talk about. I fully expected that we would see a financial crash, like a fucking mammoth financial crash before Christmas, and it didn't happen. What happened? Where are we at? What happened?
Well, I guess who knows? You know, I mean, how long is a piece of string? You know, we'd like to think that we know. We're not privy to everything. I wish we were. You know, we've got an inside mechanism that probably knows, but that doesn't share it with us either. But there's certainly things that need to be in place. If we're moving into a new financial system, it needs to be one that's not corrupt and can't be corrupted. And so they need to make sure that they've got all of that stuff under control, so it can't come in and infiltrate the new, we're talking financial system, the new quantum financial system. But I tell you what, the more that I look and learn, and the people that are digging deep into their research and coming up with some real good stuff, certainly there's more and more information coming through that everything's moving into the Stellar network, and through that, you know, that stuff through for the people, and that's getting closer and closer by the day. So, you know, we've hit Basel IV.
So I read something the other day that suggests that, and I think I said this to you, Basel III. I mean, I know we're supposed to be coming into Basel III and then into Basel IV, but I read something that suggests that that's even going to be null and void, irrelevant. It's going to be irrelevant too with the new financial system. They're going to do away with all of that. So that's kind of interesting. That came as news to me because I thought that, and you know, obviously there's more research to be done there. Oh, that's I haven't shared out a disclaimer, guys. Anything we share here today is our opinion. Don't take it as gospel. Go out, do your own research. We have researched a fair amount of what we tell you, but obviously we also draw our own conclusions because we're thinkers. We can think for ourselves. But yeah, I read something that suggests that Basel III, Basel IV may well be obsolete anyway with the new financial system. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in that space. I mean, it looks like there's definitely a lot of things going on. Obviously, Elon's dropping shit every other week from Twitter and the Twitter files. Now, I know that the left are scrambling about that because they don't want that to come out. They don't want normies. They don't want normal people going and reading that because that will question them. It'll cause them to question the narrative of what's going on. They'll go, okay, well, if they start to put things together, they go, if they're talking about that, i.e. the government involvement or the democratic involvement, and specifically in the election process about censoring information on Twitter, and they were, it's been proven now, it's not just a theory, they've proven that they were, then that will cause them to start to ask questions about other things that are going on as well. What else are they being lied to? And this is all we want people to do, isn't it, really, from the show, is for people to start asking those questions. What have I been lied to? Because you've been fucking lied to about a lot. We all have.
They've been lied to about everything,
Mm.
and that's but most people don't recognize that, and just go through their daily lives, because I guess the lies that it's like, it's just, they're just going through their daily programming.
Yeah, 100%.
And and so their daily lives aren't affected to what the bigger picture is going on. It still at this point appears to be normal. Well, from what it was yesterday or the day before or last week or last month.
Yep.
What they're failing to see is that, and if you go back through our own lifespan, the changes that have been made that have made our lives more difficult. So it's just like drip, drip, drip,
Yep.
drip, drip. So you sort of you don't recognize a drip on a daily or a weekly basis. But if it was
I
a
see
flood,
a few occasionally. Sorry.
well, maybe that's what the flood's all about. He says, watch the water, right? It's and so, but those that are awake and they're awake on different levels, and we're all in the same theatre, but we're watching. We're not all sitting in the same seat, so we're seeing a slightly different perspective of the drips or the narrative or the movie or whatever it is that you perceive.
Yep.
So everybody is seeing a different version of it, and depending on who they're sitting next to, everybody else sees something different, and they say it differently. And then, of course, you don't know whether you're sitting next to a good guy or a bad guy on the other side. So it's like, which side are you listening to, and all that shit, which just makes it so bloody confusing.
It does.
On every level.
And I mean, there's so much into that as well. If we talk about Q for a second, right, and all the Q drops. I mean, there'll be people on the left that'll go, "Oh, that's all bullshit. That's just one big psyop that's been derived to keep people in the dark." Maybe it is, but I'll tell you what, there's a fucking lot of shit that just coincidentally lines up, and we know how we feel about coincidences. I don't believe in coincidence.
I'll tell you, there's a guy that's really, as you say, the cream rises to the top, and there's one of a lot of people that I'm following lately, and it's SG Anon.
Oh yeah.
And I just resonate with him. He just has a really calming, warming voice, and he really sounds like he's speaking from his heart. And just the file, he's up to file 34 now. I'm partway through it. But the knowledge that he is bringing, and he's bringing knowledge that he's getting from everyday research that we can all do. All the knowledge is out there. You just need to know where to look to find it. But, he's adamant and can prove it. And there's several others that can, that we're under military. This is a military operation.
Yeah. There's a lot that points to that too. So much that points to that, Neil. So much.
Yeah.
And I think we've sort of touched on that before.
Yeah. And we need to continuously touch on it, because it's so easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah. And there's so much out there to be sidetracked about, isn't there? There's so much that's deliberately put out into the media, which is where normies are getting all their information from, clearly. Otherwise, they wouldn't be harming themselves in the way they are. It's when you start to put all the dots together, it's pretty clear what's going on. I believe.
But there's even the awakened folk and friends of ours too.
Yep.
That they listen to. Well, they're aware of what Klaus Schwab's talking about. They're aware of what CBDCs are all about, and they're kind of fearful of that. It's like when you can't, and that's what the guy sitting on the wrong side of us wants us to be is living in fear of the possibility of what they want, which is more and more of the controlling mechanisms that have controlled our lives right up to this point and are continuing to. What we continuously need to remind people of is that we are at the end of a massive event run, and the military's in control, and we are dismantling the old system that has enslaved us for our lives, our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives, and so on. And that's not just going to happen overnight. There's a process to it, and we just the fact that we're here from the beginning, or we're more awake than most other people. It's a lot tougher for us because we sort of know what's going on and where it is. We're just like, hurry up and get to the end so we can start doing the things that we contracted to come here and do, which is create a new world, a new wonderful world, without any of the slavery, without any of the bullshit, to be able to do the things that we want to do when we want. I'm really excited, and I've probably said this before, and I probably feel like I'm repeating myself, but to what we're doing is for our children and our grandchildren.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it needs to be done. Yeah. We need to remind it, and it's like, hey, why not start the year off by a reminder of that, where we're at. We're another day closer. We're much closer to the good life that we all dream about and want to have, and the financial rewards that come with that, the opportunities that come with that. And what I'm reading is 2023 is going to be a massive, massive year. And this whole war, that's what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, and look, I don't believe we can continue on the way we have been.
No.
Waiting. I don't think we can go another year. I mean, for everything to line up, right? And we were talking about, I'll come back to the Q drops before. For everything to line up, we can't go on another year, if that makes sense. So a lot of they talk about 4-year and 5-year deltas, i.e. the drops happened 4 years ago, and they correspond to a date that's happening now. So those who think that time travel is not real, well, it is. You didn't send me that video yesterday. I think it was Sam. I should send it to you. It's quite funny.
No, I sent it to you.
Oh, it was you that sent it to me? Yeah. But yeah. That cracked me up. It was good. Maybe we should play it.
Like the guy's on point, it's like, this is a guy, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guy that's been doing his own research.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got it on the wall, and it's like, you can't argue with what he's put out there, and it's like, holy cow, JP Morgan's a prick.
Oh, no shit.
Holy, you just look at what he's been doing, and it's like, how many times did his name pop up in that little skit that he did?
Quite a lot. I mean, he's been involved in everything for a very long time. Like, and not good things, right? He was responsible for the destruction of all Tesla's research in shit. Where did he do it? I can't remember. But he was responsible because he was funding Tesla, and when Tesla turned around and said, "Hey, I'm going to give all this shit away for free," he's like, "The hell you are!" and burnt it, destroyed it all. So JP Morgan, he's certainly not. Well, I know he's dead. He's long gone now. But there's still descendants there, and there's still that mechanism that was being put in place. And this is something that it's interesting. There's something that most people, and it's because it's been indoctrinated out of them. They can't understand the concept of making business plans that are 150 years in length or 200 years in length. The Japanese know it very well. They've got a word for it. But it's something that most Westerners don't comprehend. And it's because it has been educated out of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, but you bring up Tesla, and go back and listen to SG Anon's File 33.
Yeah.
And because he goes in depth with his research there. There's a guy that's just been appointed head of I think he's head or into the US Energy Department. And when you go in and look into all that, it's all open files. what they can do in there, and he takes us down, right. It's like takes you right down the rabbit hole, so to speak. They're talking about following the rabbit hole lately, but um, he went John Podesta and then changed it to Mr. Podesta, and why would he be pointed to the US Energy? And SG Anons dug down into their website there and actually found that there's links in there to Tesla, to the Tesla technology, or the possibility of that. It's like, why is it so important? And it's hidden right in there that the guys in control, I suppose, have been using that that they never destroyed it.
No, of
They
course not.
destroyed it on the surface for us not to benefit from.
Yeah.
But they've been using it for their own nefarious needs or uses underground. You know, there's cities, there's rail systems. It's just that runs.
And
You know,
they're huge. They're
oh,
expansive.
massive, massive. This, you know, cities the size of Chicago and bigger and greater than that, and they're all interlinked. It's
So there was another video that I watched the other day. Actually, before I get to that, I was backtrack just a little bit. The JFK files were recently declassified. Recently, I say in the last year or 2 years, and in it proved what a lot of us have spoken about for, well, at least since we found out. And for me, it's been at least 8 years since I've known that, you know, actually. Let's put in, if you guys are listening, put in the chat, because I can see the chat because I've got the browser up. What happened in Berlin in 1944? What happened at Hitler's bunker? What happened to Hitler? Oh, should I have used his name? That might get us banned. What happened to that little short German guy with a short
I think
bow?
you're right on Rumble.
Oh, right on Rumble. So, what do you think happened to him? Put it in the chat. But we believed that he was smuggled away from Germany in a U-boat to Argentina. And it turns out that in the declassification of the JFK files, that was confirmed. He died in Argentina in his 60s. So, you know, what else have we been lied to? I mean, we know basically everything. Now, what were we talking about before I took that sidetrack? Because I was going to come back to it.
Tesla and underground cities and Podesta and the US Energy organization. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. But
the NSA? No such
but,
agency.
well, yeah, man. But if you think about, you know, and I've certainly been, I mean, my entry into going down the rabbit hole was in '95 when I got involved with inertialess drive technologies here in Tauranga, of all places. And, you know, that technology had the ability to create free energy then. And I'm like, wow, oh my God, you know. And, you know, I mean, how much more effective, how much better would people's lives be if energy was free? You know, when you turn the switch on, it doesn't cost you anything. When you move from point A to B, it doesn't cost you anything. There's no energy involved. That's like the world will be a completely different place.
Yeah.
And they've had that hit it. Well, Tesla did it. But I mean, if you go back and watch the lost history of the flat Earth, or the stolen history of the flat Earth, you'll see way back, even in the late 1800s, you know, they had free energy. There was free energy. The whole world was this. It's like wow.
Well, you know, I've talked about that. We go right back to Egyptian times.
Yeah.
Alexandria and Egypt they were all electrified. But electricity wasn't invented until the early 1900s. That's bollocks. It's always been there. It's always been there. And so, you know, we're led to believe that the tombs, that the pyramids were tombs for kings, right? Well, they're not. In fact, there's nothing to suggest that they were. That's everything that we've been fed, you know, from the mainstream. And if their hypothesis is the case, then inside of the burial chambers, there'd be soot and everything in the roof because of torches, because of the oil lanterns or whatever they took in, oil, whatever it was that they used at the time. Oh, you're playing with your energy. I see you dangling low. Yeah, the pyramid's on there. Yeah, the other way. There you go. Yep.
Right. So the guy that created this was a child protege, and he wrote a book called Pyramid Energy. Yeah, there you go, Patrick Flanagan. And so he actually passed away.
2019.
Yeah, but the technology that he's created, and based on the knowledge that he gained around pyramid power and energy, it's like, wow, he wrote a whole book on it. Pyramid power.
Yeah.
So, and there's pyramids all the way around the world.
Well, that's right. Yeah, exactly. They are literally all around the world. There's one here in Queensland, in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, not many people told about that. There's one in Antarctica. There's one right through Central America. And they all line up because they're all part of that power grid. So in those burial chambers, there was no soot from any torches, burning torches. They didn't need it because it was electrified. So I remembered what I was going to come back to before, and it was a series of videos that I watched. The first one I think is like 20 minutes long, 15 or 20 minutes long, and then part 2 is a bit longer. I think part 2 is 45 minutes. But it's literally talking about the lost civilization of Tartaria. Now, the Tartarian, they trace it right back beyond even the Phoenicians. Now, what we've been told about the Phoenicians is potentially a complete and utter fabrication as well. Potentially what they're saying about the Phoenicians were they were in fact Irishmen. They came from Ireland. And the Irishmen have been the ones that have pushed forward or pushed the knowledge forward. So the reason you get round to the Irishmen is in Gaelic, there's a term that they call Tartar, right? Which they believed came from the Tartarians. Now, Tartar is to be a thief. That's what they're talking about in these videos. So they believe that the Tartarian people were infiltrated, probably by the Khazarians, right? That's how they come up with that term, but the knowledge was passed from the Tartarians down into to the Irishmen, who were seen as the Phoenicians. And the video goes on to say that anything that we saw about Phoenicians is that they were a basic race, and they just that they sailed everywhere and yada, which is complete again utter nonsense. They showed that they were actually incredibly advanced. And you and I, we've watched that video with Michael Tellinger, which we've already spoken about here, where he talked about the guy that made the castle in Florida. And people saw him levitating the bricks into place by using 2 ice cream cones. So that comes back to that pyramid energy as well. It comes back to the torus. And that it's just phenomenal. So much information out there. People starting to get it out. You've got to look on channels, on platforms like Rumble, because mostly it's. Although I'm starting to see a trend change in YouTube. I'm starting to see a lot more of these videos be allowed on YouTube. That may be testament to what's going on behind the scenes with White Hat Operations, who knows. But I know on Rumble and BitChute, a lot of the information that's been censored on other platforms is out there for you to research and go and find out. What was that one? Yeah. I shared something in the Under the Rug. And guys, if you're not yet into the Under the Rug Telegram group, the link is in the description here. Go and join us. We're a little bit sporadic with what we share in there, but when we find something really good, we share it. And I shared particularly about those pyramids the other day, and then you and I had a chat about it, Neil.
The ones with Golan, the Russian
dude.
Yeah, it's interesting that you shared those, and because I came back to it, I said, man, I saw that about 20 years ago. Maybe not quite that long, but that was part of my my journey. It would have been early 2000, 2023. I'm not sorry, 3 or 4. But the technology or the ability or the natural energy that comes through or is created through a pyramid, I think that the pyramid is just like a capturing device. Mm-hmm. You set it up, and then it's knowing what to do with that energy once you capture it. But if you think about what are those areas around the world called the Bermuda Triangle, right? Now, potentially down underneath all of that, they're actually pyramids. And so then are they not only energy, but are they portals? Portals to where? It's like who goes missing in the Bermuda Triangle? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's I remember reading or watching something about that a few years ago, and it wasn't just that. There was another one.
There's more than one of them.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to remember the woman, what it was now exactly. Oh, you're
Oh,
sparking things in me. You're making me want to go and research again. Go back and
oh
find the old stuff that I've
well,
gone over.
well, I mean, I guess it's that this part of our conversation all started around sort of with energy and free energy, and like um, these guys have already been tapping into that of controlling the whole world that we're living in at the moment. They've been aware of that and using it for their own nefarious bullshit.
Well, they have, and it's not just that though. They've been using it to be able to enable themselves to do that, but they've
Mm,
also been using it to keep people entranced. And like we've spoken about frequencies here before. It's something I definitely want to delve into a lot more because my belief is that none of the ailments that we have in life cannot be cured through the use of sound. So what I'm saying is every dis-ease that comes up, whether it's cancer, whether it, I mean, that's the most prevalent one, but anything that comes up, hepatitis, whatever, can be cured with sound. If you find the right frequency, I mean, was it Rife? Rife made the machine years and years ago that showed exactly that. He knew exactly what frequency could be used, and we've even showed it here when we showed the TED Talks about leukemia. Exactly what frequency that can be used to destroy those cells and create new ones. Well, what do you think? Not to jump on this bandwagon, but what do you think 5G could be? It's that, like, can be used absolutely. In fact, so can 4G, if we're honest with ourselves, can be used for nefarious terms. It can be used to keep people in a state of hypnosis, and that's exactly what has been happening. And that's what happens every time you watch the frickin' TV about or the mainstream news. They're literally programming you to act a certain way. That's why there's so many. I ask myself the question. They in fact, I put it out to the universe quite a bit. Do they really think people are that stupid? Well, no, they don't think people are that stupid. It's just they know they've got them under control, so then they're going to fall into line. I was lucky enough to fall through the cracks at school. I'm glad I wasn't academic there, because if I was, I might have gone on to university and not been able to think for myself.
mm. Yeah, you could have become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that,
Or worse, a
or a
politician.
politician.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh
So, hey, 17
dear.
people watching. Oh, 18 now.
Oh, good, good.
17. Well, we had
Welcome to
20 before.
2023, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome to 2023. The year where you
I,
get to take your freaking life back. Stop giving it up to someone else. If it's
yeah,
going to be, it's up to me. And you should repeat that for yourself, because it's true.
yeah, yeah. We had a conversation the other day, sort of 2023, and like where everybody's at, and everybody, you come and you watch us, and we like having a bit of fun and trying to sort of talk our bit of knowledge about the bigger picture of what's going on. But genuinely, we want to be able to help people into the new world, the new year,
100%.
and trying to decipher or dissect what sort of help that people need or want. And everybody today is just so focused on money, and to having more money than that they've got, and that is probably one of the biggest causes of ill health, because you're chasing and chasing and chasing this money thing, and you're not getting it. You sort of get close, and then you put some shit in, and then you lose it, and then friggin' it's like an endless cycle of chasing your friggin' tail. We
Yep.
talk about the job and trying to get out the friggin' rat race. Well, friggin' chasing money is just as friggin' bad. It's because, and we still don't get what it is that what we're looking for. So it's like, how do we help people break that cycle?
Yep.
That's the toughest thing, because everybody's mesmerized by this friggin' money thing.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's a game, isn't it? It's a game that's been taught to us that we've been living out in those cycles for a couple of 100 years. Is that,
yeah,
yeah, that's your purpose here, is to get a job, get good grades, so you can get a good job with benefits, so you can go to work, so you can buy shit you don't need, to impress people you don't like, and then die. But it's like,
yeah.
if we think of money,
But,
think of it like
but
this. There's a story about a butterfly and a kid chasing a butterfly and trying to catch it, and he can never catch it because the butterfly just flits off here and flits off there, and he just can never get to it. And then an old wise man comes to him and says, "What are you trying to do, son?" And the boy says, "I'm trying to catch that butterfly because it's so beautiful, and I just want to hold it and just see it in my hand. I just want to see it there." And the wise old man says to him, he says, well, stop chasing it. Just be still. Be still. Sit. Close your eyes. Still your mind. Hold your hand out, and the butterfly will come to you. And the boy thinks this is a bit of nonsense, but he's willing to try it because he's been chasing this butterfly for fucking hours. So he sits down, closes his eyes, and gets present to where he is still. And within 5 minutes, he opens his eyes. He can't believe it. In his hand is the butterfly that he's been chasing. It's sitting right there. Money's the exact same way. Stop fucking chasing it. Be present, be still. What is it that you want? Assume that you're going to have it. Assume that it is yours, and it will be. It is the power of the law of attraction, and it is that powerful. You can manifest right here and now in very real time. There was another video I watched the other day. It was quite honestly, it must have been from the 80s or the 70s or the 80s because it was that dated. It was very grainy, but he was talking about, you can expect that to show up in the real time. Real time. He was talking about, what did he call about the third, it wasn't the dimension, the third and fourth. He didn't talk about the fifth, but he talked about the fifth being the fourth being exactly what we've talked about 5D being like. And that is, if you can imagine it, if you can believe it, then it will manifest. And that is true. It is 100% true. The law of attraction works. There's another one that goes a little bit further. I've just literally only just found out about it that I'm starting to research a little bit on, but it's essentially around the law of assumption. So assume that it is yours, assume that it is there, and it will be. Live as if it is. Live as if it is. Live in the moment. Give thanks for something that has not yet arrived, because that's when it will show up. That's why we give thanks when we're saying grace. That's why we give thanks before we eat the food. It's not because we're thankful, we're full after it, but we do it before so that we can receive it. And it's the same thing. I don't know if I've talked about it here. I know I've talked about it with you, Neil, about the book of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas, the hidden book of the Bible. They tell us, the Bible says to us, and guys, you know where I'm at on that, right? The Bible says to us, ask and it is given. This is 100% correct. But the missing language, the missing context behind it is in the book of Thomas. It tells you exactly how to ask for it so that it will show up in real time. And I've experienced that myself, and so have you, Neil. Because we've been in that moment. We've been present to it and still.
But if you think about you're the life that you've led, and it's got you to this point where you are because of everything you've asked for to this point. And that what's going through in your mind, in your brain, what you think is what you get. And, it's like, relationships, education, whatever you just go back and look at your journey to this point, go back and connect the dots. And it's your own internal mindset thinking that's got you to this point. And you still haven't got what you really want. Although you think you want money, but it's like, money's going to make my life better. And that sort of comes right back around to, it's like, how do we help people overcome that over this energy of, this major want that for money, and to try and think about this, getting people past that thought or want or need or desire, whatever you want to call it, to the point where imagine that you've got it all, everything that you want. Then what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do to see the rest of your days out? That's going to, if you've got everything that you need, then what's the point of carrying on? Then you're done. So you need to find something that energizes you to move, to carry on, that gives you that spark, that happiness. What is it? Because it's not the money.
And guys, don't get us wrong. At this point in time, in the world that we live in the realm that we are in currently, in the state of thinking, yeah, of course, money's important. You need it to survive. You need to buy food. You need to buy energy for your car, for your house, whatever. You need to pay for school fees potentially for kids. Maybe you're a member of some clubs that you need to be paying for. Money. There's nothing wrong with money. Money in and of itself is just a tool. That's all it is. Money's not
But
going to make you any certain thing. You have to do that for yourself. Now, you come back and say, oh, how can we get people past that programming, Neil? Well, the simplest way is to love and accept who you are for all your flaws, for all of it. That's where it starts. Because generally that want, that desire, that need for to have money is because you're trying to, whether it's conscious or unconscious is irrelevant. You're trying to fill, and for most people it's unconscious, you're trying to fill that void that was created when you were younger for whatever reason. Now, the people that are seemingly successful in the world are so because they've got past that. Hey, I'm loving myself. Now, that's not to say that everybody that's successful is happy, because they might not be. They might have been. They might know how to work the system. They might not have got their wealth or whatever they have, their success, through the law of attraction, through attracting it. They might have gotten it through just sheer determination and bashing the shit out of something to achieve it. Well, they're still not fulfilled. And no amount of doing it that way to chase it will ever give you fulfillment. First, you have to come back to you. You have to love all of who you are, your flaws and all, everything that's happened to you, your experiences that have brought you to this point, that have got you to where you are. You've done the best you could with the tools you had. And that needs commending, right? You need to be commended for that. But don't make money the goal. Make it the way that you can attain your goal if you want to put something to it. If you want happiness in your life, then just be happy. That's a choice. That's a choice that you can make at any point in time. Be thankful that everything, it's top 2 inches stuff. Be thankful for everything that you've got that's going on. Be thankful for who you are. Every day at 1, 2, 3, 4, 12:34, my alarm goes off. What are you grateful for? I set that in my phone over 5 years ago, and every day it goes off at 1, 2, 3, 4. And I ask myself that question, and anyone I'm with, what are you grateful for? That's as a reminder. It's not the only reminder I've got on my phone. I've got another one that goes off at 6 p.m. It says, hey, check in. How are you feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. Thanks very much for asking. Doesn't matter that I've asked the question. Right? I can ask that of myself. But that's where it starts. Self-acceptance.
It's every second of the day you are, and believe it or not, but there's opportunity, there's lessons going by you every time, and if they're not going by you visibly or through your ears, they're going through your brain. There's something ticking over 24/7, or probably you're more aware of it in your waking hours. If you can remember your dreams, document them. There's information, there's hidden information in those.
100%.
But it's like,
I talk about that in my book.
Yeah,
briefly.
But it's like, I guess where I'm going at with this is that if you when you come to a situation or whatever it is, whether it's how you perceive that situation. If it's a conversation that you think, oh well, he's a wanker. Oh no, I really like that guy. But it's like, or something that I guess where I'm trying to get to is like, is your cup half full or half empty? Are you looking for something positive out of that interaction or something negative? Because what you're looking for, what you get out of each one of those things,
shows up.
You get. It shows up. So if you think, oh that freaking wanker, well, guess what? You're going to get more of that, because that was the big outcome that you got from that lesson or that interaction or whatever it was. So it's being able to be aware of your thinking, and that you're getting a positive, or you're making a positive out of every situation. And because if you can find a positive, then you're going to raise your frequency and come up and continue raising your frequency and be happy. If you continuously look for, well, that what's not right in the situation, then that's going to lower your frequency, and you're just going to be, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for you to be lowering your frequency. And we're under attack on every level with our health at the moment. So we need to be aware of this and to raise above that and look for, like, your cup's half full and overflowing the whole time. Whatever the situation is, you can find good in everything. in absolutely everything. Like even just being here today with each and every one of you is good. Spending time with you, Andrew, I always come away from our talks just lifted.
Me
You
too.
know, we cover a lot of shit and everything, but we always come away with that's why we sort of, when we get to the end of these things, we always want to say we want to end on a positive. And it's just like there's something to be learned and to take away, like every second of the day. Just be aware of your own internal thoughts and raise above them. If they're negative, raise above them. Find a way, and if you can't find a way, and it's really bad, then move away from that situation. Take your shoes and socks off and ground yourself and somewhere out. Just get away from it.
Yeah.
Get into a higher happy place. Really.
A happy place. You did right though, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of not. It's what we've said is easy to do. So if it's easy to do, it's easy not to do as well. We've got to create those habits. We've got to create those patterns that serve us.
Yeah, yeah, and we are bombarded on every level.
Absolutely.
If you're not feeling it, then but you can't see, feel, or touch it. There's a possibility that you might be being bombarded with EMF somewhere that you can't. Have a look around you. Have a look at your environments to see. They're doing the best to make our local environments as toxic as possible. That has a reflection on our thoughts.
We could go one step further than that too. Come back. There's a story that goes with what you were trying to say before, and that is, there's a farmer working out in his field. He's working down in the field. He's been toiling away, and some dude comes. He's been got his car loaded up. What? What are you?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something else, but carry on.
No, I'm not. That's not that one. Show him your badge. Show him. Yeah. No, it's not that one. Not that one. It's not that one. So that guy. That's another story. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
So a dude cruises in. He's got a minivan. He's got his family in it. He's got a trailer on it. He's got stuff on the roof. Clearly they're packed up. They're packed up, looking to move. They're moving away. And the guy driving the car, he stops and because he sees the farmer and he says, "Hey, what's this town like up here? We're looking, just picked up the family. We're looking to move. We haven't really got any real plans, but we're thinking this might be the town for us." And the farmer says to him, "Well, what were the people like where you come from?" And the guy in the car says, "Oh, they were amazing. They'd give you the shirt off their back. They were awesome. The people just couldn't do enough for you. Very kind, polite. They just loved people." And the farmer said, "Well, that's the sort of people you find here up in that town." And the guy says, "Oh, thanks very much. We'll go up and we'll check it out, and I think we'll settle here." Well, about an hour or so later, almost an identical picture happens. The dude cruises by. His van's all loaded up. He's got his family in it. He's towing a trailer. And the guy stops and because he sees the farmer and he yells out, "Hey, what are the people like up in this town up here? We're looking to move." And the farmer says, "Oh, what are the people like where you come from?" And he says, "Oh, they're absolute arseholes. Fucking stab you in the back. They've been shit on you. They've been trying to steal everything from you. Just not real nice people." And the farmer says, "Well, that's the kind of people you find up there." So why did the farmer give two different answers to these two different people? It's because we see the world as we are, not as it is. I'll say that again. We see the world as we are, not as it is. So change the perspective you have. That's going to be the difference in the results. Now, if we come back to what we were talking about just a second ago, you were talking about energy and people using it for nefarious reasons. Absolutely, this is true. They are. And we are being bombarded by it daily. But what you may not be aware of, and most people aren't, is that there's negative entities in the world as well. Negative non-physical entities there's non-physical entities that, if you've never heard of Abraham Hicks, Jerry and Esther Hicks, unfortunately Jerry passed on a few years ago, but Esther still talks to Abram, right? They wrote books. One of their books I read called Asking It Is Given really got me on that part of my spiritual journey to finding non-physical entities and having them come and help. Now, what people may not be aware of is that even the house you're in, right? I say that because there's two Aboriginal spirits that are in this house, and we're at peace with them, but they can create imbalance. Whether you know or understand that is irrelevant. Again, it happens. So I say this because the other day I actually had a clearing done, if you like, for myself. And 7 years ago, I started talking with a non-physical entity named Zoran. Now, I thought Zoran was a pretty good guy, even though I'd read some stuff, and Zoran turned out was, there was some negative stuff around Zoran, right, that I'd read, and I was like, nah, but not this one, because this one's a good guy. He's told me that he's here to help me, he's da-da-da-da, and I used to channel the shit out of what he said. I used to write a lot, but I'd always hit this ceiling. I'd always get to a point going, can't go any further. It's like this glass ceiling that I couldn't see, but it was there. And it turned out that he was giving me enough to get to that point, and then he'd sort of draw it back a bit, because didn't want me going any further. Now, those energies, those entities are all connected with the nefarious things that we're talking about. So there may be things going on for you that are holding you back that you don't even know of. You may not have had that spiritual connection. You may not have had the ability to channel, to see through the ether. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I didn't know that I had it. I've had it for a very, very long time. If I look back to my first memory, I'd have been 3. That was the first time I remember talking about it. But I didn't know I had it until the last 10 years, right? So everybody's got it. They just haven't put a label to it. You can pick up negative energies, entities that will keep you down. So maybe that's something you need to think about. Maybe you need to get present and go, okay. And don't ask yourself, have I got guides that are here with me? Have I got non-physical entities that are here with me? You'll be surprised. Your mind will go, oh yeah, it's this, and you'll probably dismiss it because it'll happen so quick. I did. That's how quick it can happen. If you ask, it is given. If you ask with the intention behind what you are looking for, you will find the result. You will find the answer. It's there. We know, we're born, I believe this, we're born knowing everything we need to know about the universe and about the things that go on and how it works. We forget it through education. Through education.
We don't forget it, it's just programmed out of us.
Yeah, you're right. So I wrote an article years ago called "We Are Yet to Remember What We've Forgotten." Yeah. And what that talks to the fact that we are born, we come here as souls knowing all that we need to know. And You're right, it's educated out of us, it's programmed out of us. Mm-hmm. If we're programmed to forget it.
Makes me wonder if what was the cartoon series, and the little boy was brought up by Baloo and
the Jungle Book.
Mowgli. Mowgli. Yeah, it's like he was brought up by the animals. He'd probably maybe that's where we need to go back to the jungle. Yeah. Well, the Amazon rainforest. Maybe it's where the true knowledge is.
Hey, we've got 32 people watching. G'day. Let us know where you're watching from. Put it up in the chat. That'd be awesome. Unfortunately, people. We can't bring it through into the streaming system that we use like we can with YouTube or Facebook. We had to use a stream key to get up on here.
I can't see any of that. I can just see Andrew and I on the screen. So that's exciting to have 32 people on board with us today. I guess our first our step into 2023 on Rumble. Yeah. Under the rug on Rumble, or rumbling under the rug.
Rumbling under the rug, yeah.
Yeah.
However that looks.
But yeah, it's going to be a massive, massive year. And, the changes, I think that we're going to see some big truths start coming out. Really interesting to see what's going on in the US. Is it the House, where they got the new Speaker of the House, and how that actually has an effect? There's a couple of I'm not sure if it's through that process, but one of the first things that new committee wants to bring through is abolishing the IRS in the States. So that's going to be really interesting to see how far through they get with that.
I saw that come in. Isn't it interesting that directly aligns with Jazeera and Nasira?
Well, yeah,
Nasara.
Yeah.
Jazeera and Nasara.
And the other part of that is actually the what is it, of the Fed? Basically they have the audit of the Fed, and to actually audit the Fed and the whole processes that they want to do through that means, and it's a global thing. Every government, every banking system around the world will end up being audited, and that's not going to show the corruptness of that whole banking system through that audit, through the right people doing the audit. That's going to be huge. So that's massive to sort of watch that as that transpires, well, that they get that stuff through. And I think, if this is a military operation and this is all part of it, then we'll watch that play out over the coming months.
Yep.
Exciting times.
So that was something that I don't think we mentioned it, or we might have, and we were kind of hoping that it would be sooner. But they were talking about, I know Ricardo Bossi was talking about tribunals by summer, which would be mid-year for us here in Australia, be winter here for us in Australia and New Zealand for down under. I believe there's already been tribunals happening, and I believe there's already been executions take place from what I understand from the sources that I read. But I guess that's yet to be seen by the public, and the reason I'm told that, and you know this, and we may have even discussed this, the reason why things are so slow is because they can't just tell people. They can't just tell the normies. The normies have to work this out for themselves. Sadly, a lot of them will work it out far too late to save themselves. They're going to be a victim of it. But there's still time for those that are willing to wake up. They're willing to look at a different perspective. That's the biggest thing, right? You learn a lot more with an open mind. And Bruce Lee said the usefulness of its cup is, we come back to your cup analogy before, the usefulness of a cup is its emptiness. I.e., if your cup's overflowing, you can't put any more in it. Right? And I know a lot of people go, green lights and full cups. Yeah, absolutely. That's a term for abundance. Great. But if you want to learn something, you need an empty cup so you can fill it up. You've got to come to it with an open mind. You can't come with a preconceived notion that, this is because of this. We only learn something when we go, okay, well, what's the possibilities? What's the alternatives? What if?
Yeah. There's I like that analogy too. I get both of them are sort of relevant. It depends on where your mindset's at and how you accept or receive the information that you've just learned.
Absolutely.
There's more than one way to look at it. There's more than one way to receive it, and it's like this is something that's always frustrated me with the written word. I hate the written word because, and especially on social media, because you can write something with the most utmost intent, the right intent, and somebody, if they've got had a shitty day, can take the words that you've said in love and completely take them the wrong way, and all of a sudden you've got a war on your hands. It's like craziness.
Yeah, there's a saying that goes with that: don't feed the trolls.
And there's a lot of trolls out there.
100%. Hey, they've proven there's been government paid trolls out there. They've proven it. They've shown it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and I think Elon Musk too has also highlighted, or certainly he's turned off a whole bunch of bots on Twitter, hasn't he?
Yep.
It's like, so people, all the massive followings that people had, or certainly some of these so-called leaders have all sort of disappeared because they were just bots acting as trolls. The shit that's just that is just part of the controlling mechanisms is all slowly being turned off, and this is what I'm excited to see roll out, over 2023. And the sooner the better.
We said it last year, mate. We said at the end of last year it's going to be a big year. And for those that have joined Neil and I on our GSP for 23, obviously we had that workshop that we run on the 22nd of December. No, this was the last. It was the 20th, wasn't it? The 20th.
Yeah.
Our last episode was the 22nd of December. So for those that have joined us, for those that are still wanting to jump on and have us assist you through 23, there's still obviously spots available. They will be open all year, but it'll be, remember that pricing that we spoke about is just for this year. It will go up next year. Bro, we're at the bottom of the hour already.
Wow. I mean, we do it every week. We get on here. We're already going to talk about, but we've covered a plethora of stuff. I think we've talked about some important stuff that people need to take on board. And I think for where you're at right now and moving forwards, to have a big and bright year, successful year, start listening to your own internal thoughts, and
Yep.
tap into us. We want to help you with your internal thoughts and actually turn them into what help you design the life that you really want to have. And once you start working on that, you'll be amazed at the abundance and everything that will start flowing from that. The effects that we'll have on other people, family, community, and the likewise. Just keep growing and growing from there. So exciting year. Get excited. Be happy. Look to fill that cup with positive information,
100%.
and let's jump on this bandwagon together and have some fun with it. Just
Totally.
have some fun.
Totally.
Mm,
If you want to find out more about
yeah,
what we've just spoken about, just put in the comments and we'll get in touch with you. But from me, thank you very much for being with us here in our first episode back for 2023. It's going to be a
awesome.
cracker. And Neil, thank you very much for you being here with us. And
I
we'll see
love
you
it.
guys next week. Take care.
Yep. See you guys. Love you guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.